When I first saw the trailers for Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, it was clear as day where they're pulling their inspirations from, which immediately sets the expectation very, very high for this game. Now, Team Reptile, the development studio behind Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, stepped up to the plate and took a huge swing with this one. And for the most part, they definitely hit where this game needs to hit. Things like gameplay, art style, music, a lot of things that you would want to expect from a game like this. It definitely hits those marks. There are a couple missteps along the way, but overall, my time with Bomb Rush Cyberfunk has been fantastic. So in this video, we're going to go through a review of a Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. For full disclosure, I played it on the Nintendo Switch. It is also available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, pretty much everywhere. But yeah, let's not waste any more time and let's get into this video. Alright, let's talk about the first thing that immediately stands out when playing this game, and that is the music. The music is a banger from beginning to end. Every new title, every new song definitely gets added onto my playlist. It's just such a vibe, and it definitely sets the atmosphere for what this game is. It's like this kind of atmospheric hip-hop, very, very underground. For me, it's very like early 2000s when I think of this style of music. It is very much, again, just a complete vibe that encapsulates this game to a T. It definitely sets the mood, and you know exactly what you're going to be like feeling and how movement is going to feel just based off the soundtrack, which is so weird because I feel like, again, in nowadays like gaming, I don't feel like music is as prevalent. It's not as necessary. It's as important to like the core game of what it is. Granted, there's a bunch of amazing games out there with great soundtracks, but the soundtracks aren't really implemented as necessarily a part of the game, and it's more so background to the game. Versus Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, the music is definitely one of the main reasons to play this game. It is, you know, ear catching. It definitely has you bopping your head left and right, up and down throughout the entire game. There's never been a moment where a song came on and I was like, I'm not feeling this one. Every single song was just, again, banger after banger after banger, and I absolutely love that about this game. The next huge standout that separates Bomb Rush Cyberfunk from a bunch of other games releasing in 2023 is the art style of this game. This art style makes it stand out so much more than your average indie game, in my opinion. It's, you know, cell shaded game graphics that has this very unique art style that when you look at just the drawings of everything, it's not necessarily super impressive, but when you mix it in with the color, with the cell shading, again, with just the inventiveness of the art designs, then yeah, it definitely stands out in a world that we don't really see this too often, where art design trumps graphics or fidelity or any of that stuff. This game is just, again, flashy as all hell, from the graffiti to the landscapes to the characters to the colors that just pop off the screen. It is definitely a beautiful looking game in its own right. Alright, so the music, the art style, all those things definitely help this game stand out a lot from the competitors, from other games within this kind of field, etc. But those were to be expected. I knew that going into this game, that I liked the way this game looks, I liked the music, and that was a huge driving factor of why I even got the game to begin with. Something that took me completely off guard, something I did not expect at all, was the narrative of this game being so weird, being so quirky. Honestly, I never even thought about this game even having a story until I actually started playing the game. And this story takes so many weird turns that I never know exactly what to expect, and I also never know if I even really think it's a good story, just because it's so quirky and weird that you don't really have time to think, is this a good narrative, or is it just a narrative for the sake of moving gameplay? Okay, so what is this weird quirky story that I keep talking about? And it's, again, it's weird. It's very cyberpunk slash modern day urban with a bunch of graffiti and street like vibes into it. So you play as his main protagonist. His name is Foe, as far as you know him. Pretty early on, you find out that he is an ex-legendary graffiti writer, one of the three kings in the areas, and he was very, very well respected, very, very well known. Now, he ends up getting his head decapitated, which then sets off a series of events where you and your new friends, the Bomb Rush crew, go on to try to find your old head so you can start figuring out who you were, and a lot more mystery about like what this world is, where a bunch of people are getting their heads decapitated, arms decapitated, etc., and are starting to infuse their bodies with like robot and mech technology, making them better like graffiti writers, making them better skateboarders, skaters in general. And it definitely, again, takes turns that I didn't expect it to take. Even like the whole like cybernetic people and you losing your head is just, again, not things that I expected this story to go, but it definitely goes there. And whether or not they're really implemented well, I mean, I don't know, because I don't think there's really much to compare it to. It's not bad by any means. There's never a moment where I'm like, this sucks. But there's also never a moment where I'm like, damn, that was crazy, or damn, that was super memorable. They were just kind of there, in my opinion. So I feel like that's where this game, I don't want to say struggle, because it's definitely not a struggle. You don't struggle through the story. But you definitely don't necessarily care about it. It lacks like a level of polish that makes you care for any individual character specifically. But overall, it's definitely serviceable for what this game is. Now for the most important part of this review. If you were at all curious about this game, the selling point is going to be the gameplay of this game. The gameplay is the core of this game, and it is the driving factor of why I kept returning to it and why I want to see everything this game had to offer. The gameplay is a weird blend of Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Grind, whichever, the Jet Set games. But it also is a weird blend with Tony Hawk and like platforming. So how the gameplay works is you essentially go into a new area. You gotta find like the crew. You gotta gain respect from like the crew that owns that area. So how you gain respect is through like throwing up little graffiti tags. So there's a bunch of graffiti tags already kind of like splattered throughout of like the the crew that owns that borough. You gotta go ride over them and then essentially gain the attention of the crew who runs the area. As you gain the attention of the crew that runs the area, they then challenge you to like essentially like skate offs, like say, hey, can you beat my high score, or hey, can you do this specific combo. All these little challenges that they kind of set you for until you eventually end up meeting them on like an actual like high score round. So if you think of like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, there's like those specific levels that are like the skate tournament levels where it's like get the highest score in like 3 minutes or something like that. That's essentially what the battles are like in this game. But yeah, the thing that I really love about the gameplay of this game isn't just the fact that you can do cool things or the game looks cool, it runs smooth as you like run through combos. It's the fact that they place these tags in very unique spots that force your brain to say, okay, I can't just get there by walking up to it, right? I have to go and find a rail that I'm gonna be able to jump, run on a billboard, jump through like an air vent that pushes me up in the air, grind on another grind. Like, it's never as straight up simple as just, hey, I'm gonna walk over there and tag it up and then look for all the spots. Essentially, it's definitely a platformer in the sense that it wants you to try to utilize your surroundings, jump from rail to rail, and eventually find your way to like top of buildings, on billboards. So it's just, again, it's a fun mix of like finding the spots, trying to get to the spots, and also a fun time as you kind of like venture throughout these colorful environments. All the different characters that they have all have different like styles of like how they traverse, whether it be on like bike, skates, or like just skateboard, that definitely add a variety to how everything looks, from not just like your simple kick flips, heel flips, but they have like different twists, 360s, different manual styles, a whole bunch of different things that definitely add variation to the way you do tricks, and also kind of just the way that the tricks look. Some of the tags are slightly different. Again, a lot of it I think adds a little bit of more depth than what would just probably be another like skate style game. And I'm glad that they definitely added that, because that kept my brain like active throughout this entire game, trying to say, man, you know, I'm 20 points away from like actually getting out of this area. Where is that spot that I'm missing? And then when I find a spot and it's way on top of a building, and now I have to try to be like, okay, where is the beginning rail that's gonna get me over there? How am I gonna get enough momentum to launch myself up there? Stuff like that, again, is just really, really fun. It added a little bit of unpredictability to the new environments that I was getting to. So overall, Bomber Cyberfunk was a phenomenal game to play through, and I just think overall it was just a fun game. There's nothing necessarily inherently wrong with this game, and I think there's definitely a lot of replayability that'll bring me back to this game after, like, essentially I'm done with the story. Just because the gameplay is so fun, there's definitely a lot more things that I couldn't reach. So I'd be curious to see if I could go back and actually complete all the tags. I played on Nintendo Switch. It's not like an achievement or platinum or anything like that to go along with it, just for like my own self reason of getting it. So I think this is an easy game for me to recommend to essentially anybody. I don't think there's anyone who will not find something that they like about this game, whether it be the music, the art style, or just the really, really awesome gameplay. If you're a fan of like Tony Hawk games, or if you're a fan of like the Jet Set games, or just weird quirky ideas in indie games, this is definitely a must buy for you guys, and I highly recommend it for just about anybody. Anyways, you guys, that's gonna do it for this review of Bomber Cyberfunk. Do me a favor and like this video if you guys like this video. Please consider subscribing, as it does help us out tons. We do tons of content like reviews, discussions, etc. on this channel. So if you guys like that kind of stuff, definitely stick around and look forward to some of our other future projects. With all that being said, I'll see you guys on the next video.